We are going to be taking a look at the annemarieproject.org website and going through the basics of how to be able to operate this. And it's mostly pretty simple on this. We're really just dealing with posts most of the time. Sometimes you need to make a few changes to the pages, and that's fine too. To log in, you go to annemarieproject.org/wp-admin, and then it will redirect you here. You can enter your username and password, and then you get to this dashboard where everything that you see is unimportant except, well, actually you normally start off here. For some reason we started off in the wrong place this time. Everything you see is unimportant except for what is on the left side. So we're going to go down this left side here, go through all the menu items that are relevant to what you're going to be doing, and then we will show the basics of how to use them. If you have further questions, you can always ask us for help, and we'll be happy to provide that support. So we have home, updates, nothing you need to worry about. We go through and we do the updates on your behalf, to plugins and to themes. And so every couple of weeks you'll notice that any updates that are needed will go away. You don't need to worry about that. We have post here, and these are the posts that have already been added to the website. And they have been not too much recently, it looks like. Nothing too much in the way of new things. We transferred all the old things, nothing else that's new right now, hardly. But if you want to add a post, you simply click Add New. You can also do that from over here on the left side. You can also do it from up here. Any way works fine. Where it says enter the title here, you enter the title. So whatever you want your post to be called. You can enter in the content here. You can type it in directly, or you could paste it in from Word. Whatever you want to do is fine with that. All these things up here are typical word processing type functions. We can make words be bold. We can make them italicized. Put a line through them if you ever need to. Bullet pointed things are fine. Numbered list, quotes. We can insert a line between items. We can center or right align it. We can make a link. That can be something you're going to be wanting to do from time to time, of course. If we want to make it so that then there are divisions to what we're doing here, then it could be useful to have some header 2s going on. And so you can type in heading 2 here and some important category. And so you make it so then it's divided up a little bit more. If you ever need to add images, all you need to do is go up here where it says Add Media, and then you can add the media. So you have these things that are already uploaded, and you can select any of them, and you simply click Insert into Post. But you can also upload whatever else you need. You might not be using a Mac. If you're using a Windows computer, it'll look a little different. But you select whatever you need, click Open, and then it will upload the file. It will show up over here. So let's say we want to put in this picture of Amanda George. No, let's go for something a little bigger with this cool looking guy here. And we'll go with the large size here because we don't want to do a 2 megabyte photo. Alright, there we go. We got him in there and he's looking good. You can see we're starting to get a little bit of an idea of how this looks. It's starting to be somewhat what we want. Let's click Preview. You see you can click Preview anytime and know what it is that you've been doing. Make sure that it's looking the way you want it to look. That's starting to look pretty good. That's about what we're wanting. But then we think, I want him to be a little smaller. That's a little bit too gregarious for my taste. And so then we can do one of two things. You can click and drag these arrows down here, or you can come in here and you can change the size. We have these preset sizes that are available, but you can also do a custom size. And you don't need to know really what a pixel is, how wide a pixel is. You just need to be able to enter in numbers and it will make it proportional for you, and you can test it out until it looks right based on what you think it should be. So we look at this again and then we think, there we go, that's what I'm talking about. That's the way I want him to be. And we could even make this, if we want to go even smaller, maybe we could make this left aligned. See, it's not aligned anywhere right now. If we make it left aligned and this text goes over there, he's too big right now, and so that text won't be able to really wrap around. So let's make him very small. And we'll go down to medium, and probably it'll be able to wrap around a little. Yeah, there we go. And so you could put that stuff on the right if that's what you would prefer to do. You want to make sure when you're in here to set up the categories in some good way. And so we have these categories of eating disorders, or of the people who have done this before, relationships. Set it up with whatever you need to. Check it. You can do as many as you want. You can add a new category easily down here. You can add tags if you want to. We don't really need most of these things here, and so you can just hide them when you don't need them. For the author, we want to make sure that we set it to the proper person. And so we're going to set this one to Ryan Bax. And the only other thing you really need to know in here on a regular basis is to set a featured image. Setting a featured image makes it possible for there to be a nice looking photo that shows up not so much in here. I don't believe that we have any way. Oh no, it does go on the top on this one. So it goes up to the top up here within that, but it also means that then on the home page, and this is probably even more important, on the home page it will show up in these spots like this. And you want to be able to have that so that we can have that even look and so everything is coordinated together. And we see this one that has been added, and there's no featured image. And because there is no featured image, and there's not one in here, it doesn't look like either, then that means that it doesn't really fit in quite the same way. And you'll see that over here, on the blog page, we have the same situation. Now, it doesn't look terrible. We've set it up so that it will look fine, but it would look much better if we did have that featured image as a part of it. Once we get all this ready and we've previewed it, we know that this is what we want it to be, then we can click Publish. And because we don't probably have too many people reading this at 10:46, then we are going to go ahead and publish it for just a moment, just so you can see that this works, so you can understand how this functions. And so now on the home page, we have that there. You can see that's a little bit off center. We're going to show you how to fix that up in just a moment. And then it's been added on this page. It's been added on the blog page. If you were to look at the categories, which we don't have any over here right now, I guess, but if you look at that category, it would show up there. You could look under Ryan Bax and see that his article is now there, etc., etc. Then we decide, you know what, this is not really quite the post for us. And so then we decide we're going to make this unpublished. So let's do that. You can do it from here. You can do it from within the post itself as well. And we can do that up here in this place here and click Edit. With these pictures, then we want to make sure those are centered. I guess we don't have that cropping feature on here right now. Well, we'll add that on there. But for right now, you just want to make sure that you have the key parts of your image centered on the page. All right, we don't want this anymore. We're going to move this to the trash. And once it's moved to the trash, it's not gone forever, just for this moment. And so if we determine that we want to bring it back, we can go over here and click Restore. We can also delete it permanently. And in this case, we know that we do want it to be gone forever. So now it is gone forever. You can look at all your categories over here. And so you can click on one of these and you could view what is in that for depression. And we see that these are the articles that have been written about depression in the past. And then you can also edit these and change the names of them. You can do a little bit of description stuff in here that might help with your SEO a little bit. Most of those things aren't terribly important, but they could help out a little. Tags, same thing as categories. You could look at any of them, but we don't have any on there right now. We have Media Manager down here, or Media Library. And you're not normally going to be accessing your media from here, but you can go view it all at once if you want to. Most of the time you're going to be dealing with media directly in the posts themselves, and or within whatever else it is, within the slider or within a widget, some other place besides here. But you could do it here if you ever need to. And you could upload them here as well by clicking Add New. We have forms here. This is Gravity Forms, and for this site, then we're doing using it for the contact form that is over here. It's very simple, so it's not too much training that needs to happen specifically for it. But Gravity Forms is a very powerful plugin, and so you could do a whole lot more with this if you want to. There is conditional logic, there are advanced fields that help you to fill in things automatically. You can sell things through Gravity Forms. You wouldn't want to create a whole online store through it, but you could sell a few things or accept donations through it, which could be a good option for you all at some point. If you want to change what this says, you come in and you change the field label. You can add a bit of a description, and you can make it so that then these are required or not required. And you can enable conditional logic and make this only show up if they enter certain other things on the page. A lot of changes you can make within it. Most of these are fairly self-explanatory. If you want to have a drop-down menu, you make a drop-down menu. And you enter in your choices here, 1, 2, 3, whatever you want to drop down, and it's there. If you have questions about Gravity Forms, if you ever decide you want to move in some direction with it that's more complicated, let us know and we can give you those answers. It does still matter, though, what comes on the confirmation and what comes on the notifications. We'll make sure we cover that just a bit. Confirmation, this is what happens after you've entered the form. Then this will show up on the page, and right now it just is a generic, thanks for contacting us, we will get in touch with you shortly. But you can make that specifically what you want. You can also make it go to one of the pages on your site, make them automatically redirect, or you can make them redirect to an outside website as well, whatever you want, and you can enter in any sort of content in here, media, just like you always would. We have notifications over here, and if somebody does contact you, then it will go to Annemarie Project. That's not your email address. Well, I know I didn't enter that in there, so somebody's changed that at some point, but that can't be what it is. I guess it could be what it is. I'll leave it at that for now. No reason you actually can't have a dot in that place. I guess it could be that, but we'll have to check that out and find out if that's really where you're wanting it to go. But if somebody enters it, then it should go to whatever email address is here. But you can also always go in and look at entries here on the website, and then evidently we are having some spam entries, which we never see on Gravity Forms. And that's very strange. I'll leave the ones that are potentially real. I guess they're just from Tisha, so they're probably just test. I've never seen any spam on Gravity Forms at all when we've been using it. So it's a bit strange. We'll have to see if we can find out what's going on with that for sure. You don't need to do anything with settings down here. And import, export, not something you need to worry about. Updates, add-ons, shouldn't be anything there that you ever need to be concerned with. We have all our pages here in this pages section, and the only exception is the home page, and it is controlled in a different way, but everything else is controlled through here. These work just like the post, and so there's not too much more to be able to learn through this. You can still set a featured image to go up at the top. You can control everything within here, make changes just like you did before. You can enter in a form into any place within this, and so entering a form or many other things like this are it's very simple. All you do is click a form, choose the one you want, and then it's there on the page. You can click preview, and it shows up formatted as it should be. We've already done that, so that then it will be right wherever you put it. Most places you put it anyway. But we don't want to keep those changes. Same thing with them. If you just leave without saving, then it will go back to the way that it was. But the same thing here, where you can go to the trash if you ever do delete something and restore it. We don't have comments enabled right now through this, so we won't worry about that. In Genesis, there's nothing that you need to be concerned with. In Appearance, you don't need to worry about most of these things. We do need to take a look at Widgets, though, because that is what controls the home page. And so we have this header section here, and you can see that we have the logo and the menu items and the social media icons, and those are all through here. So we have the logo there. This is our social media menu, which is what we're looking at up here. And then we have our regular menu that is here. Now, most sites we have it set up in a way where you could trade out the logo and it would be fine. Given the way that this is arranged with it overlapping with this menu, then I don't think hardly any other logo would work. If you had a logo that was highly similar, maybe it would. But for the most part, you're going to need to have a little bit of extra help if you ever want to change that out. We have the primary sidebar here also. That's this stuff over here. And we have each one of these things. It's a featured post, and so it's just the latest one that has come up. And we have archives. We have a list of the bloggers on the website, and we can have the tags up there. I think maybe we ended up we haven't used the tags, that's why. We had said we wanted to have that, but then there were no tags that were actually ever in use on any of the posts. We have this home top section, and it is describing what is at the top of the home page, as the name would imply. So we have Revolution slider there. You don't do anything with this here. You don't edit it through the widgets, but it is there, and so if you ever wanted to move it somewhere else, you could do it. Then we have our latest post thing here, and then all it's saying is all post right here. So you don't ever need to worry about that. With our featured post here, it's set to being all categories. Again, you really don't need to worry about that probably. If you ever decide you want to do some more specific category besides that, you could do it. Or if you decide you don't want the title, you could uncheck that, or you wanted to have a few more words that were part of that on the home page, you could make those changes. Or if you decide you didn't want any image at all in that section, then you could make those changes there, but most of the time you can just leave it be. We have this down here, the things that come beneath. Got this little globe here, and then the image itself is controlled It's hard-coded in, but then the text can change out. And so you could make it different and even a little ways longer, a little ways shorter, and you'd be fine. Keeping it to the same sort of length is going to be making it fit more closely with the original design for the website, but you could ultimately make it any length that you wanted. We don't have anything in subfooter left or right. And then we have partners and resources down in the footer. So if you need to make some changes to it, here they are. Got a couple of different bullet pointed lists here, and then they're set up so that they go left and right down here. And so then if you are making a change sometime, if you add another one, then you probably wouldn't want to add it to the top. You'd probably want to go down to the bottom of the second list and add it down there. If you make any changes you need to make there, add, delete, you'll be able to see what's working and not working. We have connecting with us, so it's just the form that we had that was also showing up on the contact page. It's down here as well. And you could change it out to a different form if you ever wanted to. Otherwise, there's not too much more that you're going to want to do there. You could change the title, I suppose. Nothing more in these places here right now. So that's pretty much all the homepage there. It is all the homepage. Everything that you need to know about that. And then we have menus. And this is our main menu that shows up on the top. It's set up so that then you might be able to fit in another item up here, but likely not, as a main top-level menu item. And so you can add as many sub-menu items as you want. If you're going to go to add another menu item up here, then you might need to adjust it some, change About Us and Contact Us to About and Contact respectively. And then you could maybe fit in something else. But for the most part, you just want to add in sub-menu items, and you can add essentially as many of those as you want. So if you ever decide you want to add those, all you do is you just look at your pages over here, and you can go through and add what you want, or you can add an individual post, or you can do a custom link and just type in google.com, and you can type in Google it for the text that goes on there, and then you can just drag these. And so anything that's off to the right is a sub-menu, anything that's all the way to the left is a main menu item. You click Save Menu and it becomes live, and then if it's not what you want, you just delete it, and then click Save Menu again, and you're good. There is also a social menu here. And so we have these up in the corner. If you were to not want to have all those at some point in the future, you could delete one of them. Some of the things inside there are not easy to change out, to know how to change. They're fairly obvious, but it's not as easy as some other things. So we have like our Instagram here. And then if you need to change it to Twitter, you type in Twitter. If you need to change it to LinkedIn, you type in LinkedIn. So it's not too hard to find it, but at the same time, it's not the most user-friendly. And so it's a little bit more clunky to change out. If you need help with that, let us know. We'll gladly help you out with it. But most of the time, you're just going to leave it the same anyway, because you're probably not planning on expanding too much in which social media categories you're a part of. You don't need to worry about anything else in appearances. You can add new plugins, and that would be fine, and you can try out something new. And if it works well, that's great, and if it doesn't, that's fine too. Probably not going to break the site in any way that is permanent, and we have this being backed up each night, so then we'll be able to restore it if you do get into trouble. And if you have questions about a specific functionality you want for a website, you should probably email us or text us, and we'd be happy to give some advice on what we've experienced to work well and not work so well. We have users down here, and within users we have several already, but they're authors and subscriber for Ken Hussey. I'm not sure what that's about exactly. But then we have administrators, and they are the ones that can actually do something on the site. So right now we have Julie Gramlich and Firehouse Admin and MegF6, that's us, Megaphone Designs. And so we have each one of these on here. You can go in and edit them. You can change out the password, change the way the name appears, add a profile picture, most things that don't really make too much of a difference with what you're doing right now. Be good to reset a password sometimes. If you want to add somebody new, you just click Add New and type in some name. You need to have an email address, and ideally it would be their actual email address, but if it's not, then at least some email address needs to be in there, and it can't be the same as any other user who has been created. So type in something there, and then you type in the first name and the last name. That's just so that it can show up correctly if they're an author on the site, and otherwise it doesn't matter too much. All that really matters is the username for logging in purposes. We have this password here, and it generates one automatically that is secure. And you can enter in whatever password you want. Ideally, though, it would not be a password like password. If it shows up as being very weak, then that is a problem because it will make your website more vulnerable to attacks. And so you want to have a strong password. It doesn't have to be what they say initially. You can make up your own. Super duper strong password. And then you get a strong one. All right, and so it can be anything like that. We would prefer that it not be one of the weak ones. And you ultimately do have the freedom to have a weak one, but you have to click this confirm use of weak password, and I hope you never have to do that. You can send them an email about it or not, set them what you want them to be. An author, then that's someone that can just be assigned to be able to access the site and write something. But more importantly for us, then that means that they can be assigned to be the one showing up as having written the article. You can also make them editor, and they have a little bit more power. They can look at other people's posts as well. And then an administrator can do anything that they want on the whole site, and that's normally what you're going to be adding. And so you click add new user, and then they become a new user. We have tools down here. Nothing in tools that you really need to worry about. Our settings over here, then again, there's not much of anything that is of concern. No, I don't think really there's anything in there you need to be worried about. For SEO, you can make a few changes in here that could be useful to you. So you can customize the way that things show up on SEO results. You can look through this and experiment some. For the most part, the content is what is most important, and this is set up in a pretty good way already for those things. For social media accounts, and you can make it a little more specific if you have an exact image you want to show up when your site is shared, or you can make a few other adjustments to the title and description for your site that are unique to each social media account if you prefer to do that. These other things on here are more complex than what we really need to deal with. Duplicator will be gone in a moment. That was just from when we transferred the site. And we have slider evolution down here, and this is relevant. The things that you have on your home page in the slider are generic enough that they don't need to be changed out a great deal, I wouldn't imagine. But then you can come in here anytime that you want to and make those changes. These are a bit more complex sliders than what we're normally providing our clients. And it's not terrible, but it takes a little work to get it all set up right. It's something that anybody can do, but it takes some work. So we have these different elements on here. You add your layers, and so you can add text, you can add an image to the page or a shape. You can add any of these things on the page, and once you add it to the page, then text, for instance, then we have some text. And it's here on the page, and you can click and drag it and move it wherever you want, which is easy enough. You can change your font size up here to whatever you need it to be. Let's make it really big so we can make sure we see it. You can make it bold if you want to make it really bold. We've got some text here. We can center it up right there in the middle. That's always a good first step. And then we can make a few additional styling changes to it. We give it a background color. We can give it some padding. And we can do all sorts of other fun things with hovering and whatever you want to do with that. You want to get some sort of animation in it. You can just be fading in and fading out. But on the things that we're using on here right now, then we're having them be more customized, and they're coming in slowly from the left side, a short distance and slowly from the left side. Then these things down here, then we're doing some special pop-up stuff that makes it come in at a little bit of an angle and rotating. And at the bottom, then we have these all lined up the way that we want them to be. The little faded part, that's the intro. How long does the intro last? How long does the animation to introduce it last? And then this part is how long does it last when it's actually on the page. And so then these all come in order. I'm going to delete this one for right now so you can see how this works. You click play, and then you can see it all popping up there together. But if I were to move this way down here, then this initial line would then instead come up much later. And we don't want it that way, and we won't save it that way. That's how you control it. The important part about this, though, is that then this is a responsive slideshow, and so then we have these different levels. And so we have desktop, laptop, tablet, and phone. So you have to look at each one to make sure they are all aligning correctly. And so it might be that even though it's fitting just fine in here, then it needs to be different down here. And you can change these independently. So you know the font size for this here is set at 65. Move down here and it changes over to 50, and then it's still at 50 there, and then we're down to 40 here, because we need to keep moving these things around to be able to fit. But the changes I make down at the lower levels don't impact the higher levels, and for the most part not the other way around either. So you get all those things set up, make sure they all line up, everything fits where you want it to be. Oh, and of course you set the image up here, I forgot to even mention that. You can set this to whatever image you want it to be, and then it will go in that spot. And that's not really quite the way we want to see him, so you can change where it's positioned at. There we go. Then you click Save when you want it to be live. We don't want this to be live. If you want to rearrange these, you can move them around, click on them and drag them back and forth. Let me refresh this so I don't accidentally end up saving this. You can click and drag these. Well, you should be able to. There we go. So you can make this move over there, and it'll be a different place in the slideshow if you decide there's a different part you want to emphasize. A few other changes you can make over here in slider settings. Most of them are unnecessary for where you're at right now. You could make those changes, add some navigation, some arrows, some bullets, things of that nature. But for the most part, things should just be able to be okay the way they are. You can always create new sliders too and put them anywhere else on the website that you want, and that would be perfectly fine. You don't need to worry about word fence. We'll worry about that. That just helps us make sure that the website is secure. And then we have WP Google Map, and I'm not sure if we even have a map. No, we're not even using this on this website, so you don't even have a map on there anyway. So that should be everything that you need to know on the site. The main thing is how to use the post, and it's not anything that's terribly overwhelming to do. It's not so terribly difficult. And so if you have problems, though, don't feel embarrassed or shy about asking. We're happy to help, provide any sort of support you need.